And here is where we go a lot deeper, because you now get to find what you can provide value to them. The thing you always have to remember here is the way we get paid is by providing value. That's it. The more value you provide, the more you will get paid. It's true in any industry. If you just think of heart surgeons, brain surgeons, they provide a massive value and they get paid massive bucks. The same thing here. If we can provide massive value to homeowners, you're going to experience homeowners at all different levels of motivation. You're going to experience homeowners that are desperate. They need to sell right now. You are their saving grace. Thank gosh you called right now. You're going to experience homeowners that are like, I'll sell if you give me $1 million, right? And everywhere in between. So it is really imperative that you find the value you can provide, which is what I call doing a deeper dive. Now, you do this slightly in the beginning when you're trying to find someone's motivation, but then you attach their motivation to the emotional component. That emotional attachment is where you find the value that you can add. In an example, let's just say there's a couple that is going to move closer to their family because they're the grandparents and they never get to see their grandchildren, okay? Well, if you can connect them to that emotional tissue of how would it feel if you could just be done with this process and already be next to your grandchildren? How would that make you feel? How much stress would that relieve? How much pressure would that take off of you if you could already be there? This is a very salesy way of doing it, but I future pace them. I put them in that moment right then, right there, so that they can feel that emotion about, man, I just want this done so I can be next to my grandchildren. I want them in that emotion because I want to be able to help see the value I'm gonna add. So in that example, you might be able to tell this couple, hey, listen, I understand how important it is to be next to family. I understand that there's nothing better than having grandparents when you're a kid. I totally can appreciate that. Would it be of help if I could try to get this all done for you and gone and sold and the deal has closed within the next, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks? Would that help? Now that question allows them to buy in to the value. If the value isn't speed, meaning they need to get next to their grandchildren very fast because they need to, whatever. If they don't value speed, they might answer you, well, yes and no. We don't need to be out that fast. Then you sit back and say, okay, I take note of that. Speed isn't the value that they're really looking for here, right? Now, they may have said they were at the beginning of this, but then you say, hey, I could potentially get this closed in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Would that help you? And then they said no, and then you can bring that back up to them. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I gotta be honest, I actually, based around the first part of our conversation, I actually thought that was gonna be really of great value to you. Then you pause, let them digest what you just said, and then you say, so let me ask you, what value can I provide to you that would really move your needle, that's really important? And let them answer. You want to be the best listener that you can possibly be. If you have been paying attention, you realize this is all based around questions. It's called question-based selling. And there's a ton of books out there about this. And the key is, when you ask a question, the key will be for you to be silent after, because they will give you all of the information if you actually do this correctly. They will actually just plainly say directly to you about what the highest motivation. That same example, their answer could be, well, honestly, the highest value I could possibly think of is helping me find a property in that location that we're moving to. Or helping us move, as we don't know what we're gonna do with all this furniture. You don't know what they're gonna answer, but when you do hear it, you need to pay close attention. Because if you can provide a value when they say what the value really is, that's where you will be able to bridge that gap. That's where you're gonna be able to get closer to the price that you want, and may or may not be closer to the price that they want, right? More often than not, we as investors obviously are at a lower number than the homeowner initially probably would like. But if you provide the value, they will be more than happy to get to your number because of all the other value that you're providing. Now, let's just say number and money is the value that you can provide. Well, that's where some of the rubber meets the road, meaning now you're talking about someone who wants a number and that's the biggest and highest value. If you can't get there, Then you have certain other ways to get creative financing done with them, etc. This training isn't about creative financing, but you can offer some creative financing up if you want. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to get to their number or that's going to be the value that they want. A lot of times they need to take a certain amount of cash, put it in their pocket for, let's just say, the move that they want to do or whatever the motivation is. That cash is imperative to them. Creative financing a lot of times doesn't allow you to give the person that amount of cash. So now you have this place of they may just want a number that you can't get to, and that's gonna actually be okay. If their motivated factor is, I want the most amount of money as I possibly can get, and you obviously aren't gonna be able to get there, then you tell them that's okay. And you say, hey, I can't buy every single home. If you really want that number, you're likely wanna have to go and put that on the market. And if it's someone who doesn't wanna put it on the market and they don't wanna pay commissions, then you're gonna have that conversation re-engage again. Because you feel like you've lost them because you can't get to their number. But by letting them know that that's okay and then giving them the advice that they want to put it on the market, they might not like that idea at all. And they might re-engage with you, well, where do you need to be so I don't have to go put this on the market? So I don't have to go do what I don't want to do. How much value can you add to me so that I can accept your number? It'll just start the call again. So when you're asking what their value is, and I'll straight up ask, what's the most valuable part of this transaction to you about selling your home? What do you see as the highest value I can offer in this transaction? And the reality is the answers are going to differ. But if they're financially motivated, then helping them out financially, meaning likely speed, close the deal fast, get as much money in their pocket as possible, those are going to be things that they're going to really, really want. And you have to figure out how to navigate those.